Good evening, my name is Mauricio Moya, and I will be presenting the OkCupid EDA case. Let's start. So this is the index, what we're gonna cover in this analysis. To begin with the introduction, as we can see, I have 3 steps planned for this presentation. First is the goal to create microsegments for different marketing campaigns for OkCupid. The method is to identify insights and find those aha moments. And basically, the plan to go through this assignment, which is extract, clean, transform, and enrich the data, find key insights, and present findings and conclusions. Let's start with the data description. We found 22 columns, 19 discrete variables or features, 3 continuous, 4 datasets, the profiles, lat, long, addresses, and sensors. So in terms of the data description, we found the discrete and the continuous variables. As you can see in the plot here, on the left, you can see the discrete features from body, diet, drinking habits, drugs, education, and so on, to the continuous one, which are age, height, and income. Along this data frame, we only found 3.46% rows that are completely clean. And we found that more than 50% of the data has more than desired to have in a data set in order to analyze it properly. Oh, by the way, this is going to be a nice insight later about the income, which is 80% of missing data. We found that there are very weak relationships in between most of the variables, and the ones that I'm going to work with are mainly drinking, smoking, drugs, gender, age by groups. I'm going to use a bit of locations for plotting, as you can see in the map. Then the stronger relationships were these. I mean, we don't want to find those actually, because we want to go for the small microsegments. This is a quick glimpse of the data, and we can find that in the code here. Like, this is my code. So, well, I was playing with the plotting. It's a tree plot. It's very interesting, really. But yeah, I also figured out how to plot using Google Maps. Here are the most interesting areas where the users are located. Very interesting data. Well, most users are in California, Kansas, and there are a few of those in the east area of the states. There are also some users in other countries outside. I'm just showing the unique location. It's pretty interesting, but most of the data is located here in the States, more focused actually in California. Moving on to the structure of my coding, as you can see, I developed a very structured and well-organized document with the purpose of running it without any problems. So let's go and run it and see how it goes, okay? All right, so we got it. A mail for the professor. I'm gonna restart the whole environment because we want to work fresh with no temporal files. All right, let's continue now. This is the cover of the assignment, all my code, of course, auto cleaning system, loading bar for all the 40 libraries that I'm gonna use in the whole case. Or here, 40 loaded. Then we have the case itself loaded. Those are the files. Then we go to the EDA and we start changing some names. We can have a glimpse on the data here. Just what I was showing in the PowerPoint right now. It's an actual very long process. We can continue presenting the PowerPoint. So the insights I found, the first thing is about the data privacy. We have about 80% missing data. So I wanted to point that because if we look at this group, then it's very obvious to see that when users share their income, they're also going to share more information. And when they don't share their income, they're also not going to share a lot of their data. So my point of view, I'm not sure if I want to clean all the data because I'm just going to mess up with the data. Instead, I'm just going to use it as a part of the information that I want to understand. So that's how I came up with this first insight. These are our learning points. We have our key elements that are missing data, trust matters, benefits versus risks, and motivations and biases. Well, what I was saying that data might be important to understand better our users. The disclosure behavior is influenced by user privacy settings, while missing the data can hinder finding better matches. That's something that's going to affect the users. Companies start to encourage users to provide more data while using machine learning to infer missing data. Trust matters. This is pretty much about building trust with the user so they can share more data and so the company can better services or even new sources of income. Then the benefits versus the risk. Both parties have risk and benefits, so let's be careful about that. Motivation biases. Users' motivation and biases impact data disclosure, of course, and companies should understand these factors and prioritize privacy and security while users choose to share sensitive information. Let's move on. So I was analyzing the habits and I noticed it was very wide, but let's go into deeper analysis. First segment, I'm analyzing 20% versus 80% of the users. So I call them open users, those sharing the information, those are 20%, and the rest is private users. Here we're analyzing the drinking habits in terms of first those two macro segments and comparing their drinking desires. This is a featured engineer variable because it's not as you will usually see it, which has like so many ways to see it, right? But let's just simplify it. And we saw that overall women tend to drink less than males, right? Also, we saw that sharing data is not related to the drinking habits. Doesn't have to, but it was just something curious because I noticed that here, top left chart, we see that females that share their income information, the median, the mean are way on the middle, actually, the rest are on the left side. And they're choosing not to share these drinking habits while they're 30 to 33 years old. I'm just wondering why. Maybe that's an interesting topic. And now here on the right side, we can see that men usually drink more while they're younger. And well, pretty much the same thing for both genders. When it comes to analyzing the drinking habits as given originally, we can see that the frequency, most of the users are males, and that the biggest group is the social drinkers. And we can also see that, for instance, here overall, younger females drink desperately or over more than their male peers. Overall, most users drink more around 20 to 40 years old, regardless of their gender. Some learning points as well: privacy concerns, social stigma, self-preservation, something bias. So this is pretty much what I was talking about regarding the habits being shared as people grow older. This happens because people tend to share less because they have different priorities and they also have a new mindset. Probably they're starting a new job and they need to be seen under a good light. In the case of women, this is important because the society is still very macho, ideals and judgmental people and things that continue to influence females even now in these times. I focused the analysis on the drinking part. I went deeper to into the open users. Now I was looking more into the clean data. That's why the on the side you see the percentage of the segment is smaller every time, right? We started with 19, now it's 16%. I'm focusing now in the I think this filter was about well, open users, and I cleaned out the outliers. Yes, only people between 0 and 100, more than 50 inches, and some other things. But what I found interesting is the behavior of the people related to their religion, gender, age, and privacy setting. So there are four variables being evaluated at once in here. And their sexual orientation as well. Yes. As you can see, I'm gonna be moving this. We can see that overall, between 0 to 20 years old, this is the range of ages where the data changes the most. We can see that on the male side, it changes slightly, while on the side of the females, it changes more. We can see more changes, even segments where there is no data, there ends up being data. I'm comparing obviously 20% of the people that share information about the income and then 80% that don't. So that's how I split the data. And I see that those people that don't share, I mean, that do share their income, they also share that they drink while those that don't share their income pretty much say that they don't drink. And this is particularly more clear for Islam, religion, and Hinduism, and yeah, pretty much these two, and Buddhism. The rest of the religions don't really care much about the drinking habits. They pretty much do it. We can also see that the higher proportion of people drinking, it's in the males, yeah, as we said before, and between 20 to 40 years old. And we can also see that this the proportion is stronger also in terms of well, this is a smaller group. This is another group, actually. This is analyzing only bisexual and gay users, non-straight. And we see that overall, the bisexual and gay users are even or 50-50 when it comes to the female population, while as for the male population, they usually, I mean, in terms of drinking habits, of course, they tend to be more when they're gay than bisexual. Moving on to general habits of drinking, smoking, and using drugs, we see that overall people tend to drink, like we said before, in the 20 to 40 years old range. This is grouped by ages. This is 5 beans of 20 years each. Then we see that people don't smoke that much also during the 20 to 40 bracket, but we can also see that there are some people smoking and also some people that don't share the information. But when it comes to drug use, it's interesting because I thought maybe people was going to be more conservative, but no, really it's they're starting to raise the usage of drugs and to share as if it was smoking just regular cigars. Anything else about this information? We can see that drinking is higher for male than female. Also, the smoking and the drug use. In all habits, males are always using them more. Now, to finish with this presentation, sorry, this is repeated. I was evaluating also the 2080 splits for the beliefs in terms of gender orientation and religion. And I noticed that the 20% of the people that did share their income did not share much about their sexual orientation. It's interesting. I thought people would share more, but this makes me think that maybe bisexual and gay users tend to be more open about their information, and they share more about everything, not just their income, but also their beliefs, ideologies, or anything else. So maybe in this aspect, we can say that the market that interests the most for OkCupid is this one for some reason. I mean, they have more data about them. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Summary, the conclusions: 80% of the users don't share their income. That's something very clear. Missing data is not always bad. We just need to know how to analyze it. And that's duplicated, sorry. Anyway, the actionable insight is to improve to encourage disclosure for the users. We can do that through different marketing campaigns and even implementing some sort of gamification, or maybe lowering prices, fees for the service, etc. Right? Prioritize transparency. This means that users' privacy and security should be the most important thing for the company to take in consideration. if they want to build up their trust and have more users coming into their platform, and also address user concerns. Because if you don't communicate and reach, to an engagement level that is strong, maybe then users are not going to be willing to share information that it's going to be helpful for them and for the company in order to developing further in income resources or sources. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was my presentation and maybe some graphs.